Hello, everyone. I hope that you are having a happy day in August. Here it is, Sunday, August 6th. So I have 2 weeks before the semester starts. If you're new here, I am a professor at a state college and I teach in the English, philosophy, and humanities departments. And this semester I am teaching various classes. My schedule is not exactly solidified yet. It's just the way things are. I think that I'm teaching environmental ethics. I know that I'm teaching world religions and world mythology. I know I'm teaching Celtic literature. I might be teaching an intro to literature class, either that or a composition class. So basically my summer of reading whatever I want is over. I was doing an independent study on Jean-Paul Sartre. I didn't finish Being in Nothingness or Sartre's War Letters. And I started Transcendence of the Ego, but I am still in kind of the beginning stages of that. And I have like 4 more pages, or the notes, I guess, of the essay that I was reading on Wittgenstein and Sartre. So I'm still doing my Twitter spaces on L'Age des Raisons. So I think that I will continue to read Sartre, but right now it's very much just me prepping for my classes. So for my religious studies classes, I have this reader and this textbook called Religion Matters. I'm very much enjoying it. Even though academics, professors have their PhDs in various subject areas. So mine's religious studies. When we get a new textbook, we still, have to read it. So, I do. So, I'm enjoying it very much. Like I finished my syllabus, but I am reading the part on Hinduism right now and loving it because that was my minor. So it's so exciting. And then for world mythology, we actually have what is it called? An open educational resource. So I'm reading that, and then there are various supplemental readings, but I just picked up this textbook. It's not exactly what we're using. Yeah, it's not at all what we're using, but this is a great textbook by Oxford. I also have the newer edition of it as well, but I'm just reading the 3rd edition. I don't know why. But it's very exciting. It's just, who is it by? Thury and Devaney, I think. And then the religious studies is by Prothero, and the reader says Laycock and Miklas. So yeah, it's in Norton. The religion is in Norton, and the mythology is in Oxford. So that's what I'm doing. I finished my Celtic studies syllabus and uploaded all of that. It's going to be an online class, but I've taught that class several semesters. So I'm going to be writing my own open educational resource textbook for Celtic studies. I doubt I will finish it within the next 2 weeks, but I'm going to try to get as much of it as I can done. And I'm excited about that, and I'm using various books. I could make a video on that if people are interested. It's not exactly philosophy, right? Which is this channel. But I'm just kind of showing you what I'm reading now. So those textbooks, those are what I'm reading for August, at least these first 2 weeks of August. And I did pick up a few Joseph Campbell books. So I have The Hero with 1,000 Faces, which is his classic one. And I've only read excerpts of Campbell. So these are the first books that I actually have, and I'm really excited about that. His collected works, the whole system of that, I think there might be like 21 books in the collection. So a lot of these books are kind of compilations of various essays and lectures and things like that. So the other one I decided to get, or the second one, is Pathways to Bliss, Mythology and Personal Transformation. That just, I don't know, interests me. It has a quote from James Hillman on the back, so that's interesting. So this book, I haven't even looked through these yet. So the chapters are, well, I don't even know if that would be, I thought there was going to be like maybe a list of readings or something. I don't know how much information it gives. Probably if I read it has a note. I just would love footnotes instead of end of whatever notes. Okay, so like for instance, chapter 1 is called The Necessity of Rights, and it starts off talking about the functions of mythology, and it says in the notes, this chapter is largely drawn from a lecture delivered May 9th, 1968 at Amherst College, entitled The Necessity of Myth. And a recording is available in the Joseph Campbell audio collection. That's so interesting. So yeah, and then like chapter 2, which is Myth Through Time, and it has 3 sections. Says this chapter is based primarily on a lecture entitled Man and Myth that Campbell delivered on October 16th, 1972 at the Canadian University Loyola of Montreal. And there is an audio recording as well. So it's various, it's just a compilation. But The Hero with 1,000 Faces is, I think, like his major work, and it's just a book. And then, since I love correspondence, I bought the correspondence. This is from 1927 to 1987. And I just feel like you get to know so much about people, and I thought it might just be fun, easy read, easier than maybe Hero with 1,000 Faces. So those books were for my world mythology class, just to kind of, I don't know, aid in my lectures, I suppose. The book that I have to read is still this one. I don't know if I'm sure I had this in my last book haul video. The Feminist Philosophy of Mind. I got this book in the summer. I was asked to do, or I volunteered. I asked first. It wasn't like unsolicited. It wasn't like, yeah, solicited. Sorry. I feel like I have to sneeze. I'm okay. All right. So I got this book in the summer to do a book review, and I just haven't read it yet because the independent study, and then I started prepping for classes. So I'm bringing that book to the office, and it's going to be read. It's so good. It's dense. It's legit. It's like legit academic writing. It's so beautiful. It's so interesting. I'm making all these notes, and like, oh, I'm glad that I have a background in feminist studies. Okay, since we're on to like writing for publication, this is my book that I'm going to start off with in the research stage of, so I finished the paper on Wittgenstein. The title of it was Soul Work in Wittgenstein's Private Notebooks, 1914 to 1916. So I'll let you know if it's accepted to the first place that I send it to. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But my next project and my big project that's going to kind of, I think, be in the background for the next 4 or 5 years, I think, while I do like little projects also, is a book on solitude. So I got this book that someone recommended to me on my Instagram by Joanne Weiland, maybe, Burston. Contemporary Solitude, The Joy and Pain of Being Alone. I think she's maybe a psychologist and takes a Jungian perspective. And the reviews I read said that she wasn't very much in sort of favor of solitude. And my book is going to be. So it'll be perhaps an interesting sort of voice to include as kind of a counter argument or someone to respond to. So I have another book coming, Solitude and Society by a Russian philosopher. And I don't know, I really haven't started too much in like looking for resources. I just asked for recommendations and I'm starting there just, for fun. It's the, beginning stage, like I said. Then I picked up Foucault's Madness and Civilization, and then Deleuze's Nietzsche, and Philosophy. So this is because Acid Horizon is doing reading groups starting at the end of August, and I'm not really sure if I'm going to have time, but I bought them and we'll see. Okay, so now for the books that I just randomly bought because I wanted to for my book haul, and there are 4. The first one is Leaving the Etosha Station by Ben Lerner. This is because Ellie Anderson had on her Instagram sort of like, I can't even remember what the theme was. I think just like 5 books that don't usually get talked about but are philosophical in nature or something. Or maybe they were just random book recommendations. I'm pretty sure it was like a theme though. And so this is one of them. Dr. Anderson said that she was recommended this book by one of her professors when she was in grad school, if I'm not mistaken, saying that it would help her understand deconstruction. So kind of like deconstruction in an active literary sense. So I don't know, it sounded interesting and I need to read more novels. And then I bought 2 books by Gambin. I still haven't read the other books by Gambin. I have, but I guess I'm just assuming that I'm really going to like him and starting a collection. So this one is When the House Burns Down. Actually, someone recommended this book to me specifically for a gate metaphor for the paper that I already submitted. So obviously I didn't use it for that paper, but I just thought I'd get it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and read the back of this one. Which house is burning, asks Giorgio Agamben, the country where you live, or Europe, or the whole world? Perhaps the houses, the cities have already burnt down, but who knows how long ago? In a single immense blaze that we pretended not to see. In this collection of 4 luminous lyrical essays, Agamben brings his characteristic combination of philosophical acuity and poetic intensity to bear on a world in crisis. Whether surveying the burning house of our culture in the title essay, The Architecture of Pure Exteriority in Door and Threshold, I think that was probably the essay that I was supposed to read. The language of prophecy in Lessons in the Darkness, or the word of the witness in Testimony and Truth, Agamben's insights throw a revealing light on questions both timeless and topical. Rich with the urgency of our moment, the essays in this volume also seek to show how what appears to be an impasse can, with care and attention, become the door leading to a way out. Okay, I see why this was recommended to me. I'm excited about that one whenever I get to read it. I don't know. I have a lot of things to do for my classes. And I'm also chair of the English department, so one of the chairs, at least. Okay, so this one is The Highest Poverty, Monastic Rules and Form of Life. And I just think these books are so beautiful. Like the cover art is really lovely. Okay, what is rule if it appears? Oh, and you know what I was thinking? I would really like to teach a philosophy of religion class and just get to choose all of these great books by philosophers that mention spirituality or religion. I just think it would be so cool. What is a rule if it appears to become confused with life? And what is a human life if in every one of its gestures, of its words, and of its silences, it cannot be distinguished from the rule? It is to these questions that Agamben's new book turns through an impassioned reading of the fascinating and massive phenomenon of Western monasticism, from Pachomius to St. Francis. The book reconstructs in detail the life of the monks with their obsessive attention to temporal articulation and to the rule, to ascetic techniques, and to liturgy. But Agamben's thesis is that the true novelty of monasticism lies not in the confusion between life and norm, but in the discovery of a new dimension in which life as such perhaps for the first time, is affirmed in its autonomy, and in which the claim of the highest poverty and use challenges the law in ways that we must still grapple with today. His investigation of the past brings us closer to imagining both a form of life that is a human life released from the grip of law and a use of bodies and of the world that never becomes an appropriation. It challenges us to think life as something not subject to ownership, but only for common use. That's so interesting. I feel like my soul knows that I will like Agamben. Agamben's going to be like my next Byung-Chul Han, I think, because I'm kind of finished with Byung-Chul Han. There are a couple of books that haven't been translated into English yet. I know, because I have some of them in Spanish. And I don't know if there's a book coming to me that I pre-ordered, because I feel like Absence was the last book, and I read that. So the last one is Building Inner Strength. One of you recommended this book to me, I think, or said that you were reading it in one of my like little community posts from a while ago. So it's the Chinese philosophy of Wang Yangming's School of Mind. I don't know anything about this, but another beautiful cover, and I just think I will well, I know I like Eastern philosophy, so. This absorbing book is as much about the application of the philosophy of Wang Yangming's early 16th century school of mind to our current world as it is an account of Wang's life and career. And I might be pronouncing his name incorrectly, so please let me know how to pronounce it correctly if I am. The author suggests that we have allowed ourselves to be captured by the material world. Although prosperity has increased, individual happiness has not. Our original true inner nature has been lost in the pursuit of the externality of material wealth and success. However, he believes that we can retrieve our inner strength and will through learning and applying the lessons of the school of mind. The school of mind was a major development. Sorry, sneeze again. Video is going to be a bit short because I think I'm just like having allergies and I need to blow my nose. But we'll finish this part. The school of mind was a major development and landmark in the history of Chinese philosophy and has remained relevant over succeeding centuries. Actually, just give me a minute so I don't have to. 1 minute. Okay, that's a little bit better. The school of mind was a major development and landmark in the history of Chinese philosophy and has remained relevant over succeeding centuries. Its theories reached Japan in the late Ming Dynasty, 1368 through 1644, and influenced the political and practical thinkers of the 19th century Meiji Restoration, as well as some modern Japanese industrialists. In China itself, there has been a considerable and widespread revival of interest in the school of mind, and it has been said for the last 500 years, the living spring of Confucianism has been Wang Yangming, and the 21st century will be his century. So this sounds fascinating. It sounds beautiful. It sounds peaceful. And I'll probably make a video about this one when I read it. I'll go ahead and actually read I was going to read the back cover of this, but it doesn't really have a back cover. It just has like quotes, blurb quotes. Okay, well. Okay, in lieu of that, we'll read the first paragraph together. The first phase of my research involved waking up weekday mornings in a barely furnished attic apartment, the first apartment I'd looked at after arriving in Madrid, or letting myself be woken by the noise from La Plaza Santa Ana, failing to assimilate that noise fully into my dream, then putting on the rusty stovetop espresso machine and rolling a spliff while I waited for the coffee. And I guess I can figure out what a spliff is, but I've never heard that phrase before. When the coffee was ready, I would open the skylight, which was just big enough for me to crawl through if I stood on the bed, and drink my espresso and smoke on the roof overlooking the plaza where tourists congregated with their guidebooks on the metal tables, and the accordion player plied his trade. In the distance, the palace and long lines of cloud. Next, my project required dropping myself back through the skylight, shitting, taking a shower, my white pills, and getting dressed. Then I'd find my bag, which contained a bilingual edition of Lorca's collected poems, my 2 notebooks, a pocket dictionary, John Ashbery's selected poems, drugs, and leave for the Prado. Okay, interesting. Well, that was a cold read. So, and let's go ahead and read this. Oh, this is short. What does it mean to be mad? This is Foucault's Madness and Civilization, for those of you who are listening and not watching. In Madness and Civilization, perhaps his masterpiece, Michel Foucault examines the archaeology of madness in the West from 1500 to 1800, from the late Middle Ages, when insanity was still considered part of everyday life and fools and lunatics walked the streets freely, to the time when such people began to be considered a threat. Asylums were first built and walls were erected between the insane and the rest of humanity. I've read I'm going to just say I've read a lot of Foucault, but I probably I have read some of this, but I just haven't read it like cover to cover. So that's what I'm going to do. And, I think I've said like several times on this channel that because Byung-Chul Han, I like have an intuition that he might be sometimes misreading Foucault. And so I'm always saying, well, I need to go back into Foucault and read him and see if that's actually true. So maybe now I will, because of Acid Horizon. Okay, first published, this is Deleuze's Nietzsche and Philosophy. First published in 1962, Nietzsche et la Philosophie demonstrates with a rare combination of scholarly rigor and imaginative interpretation how Friedrich Nietzsche initiated a new mode of philosophical thinking. A landmark, Nietzsche and Philosophy is one of the first books to dispute the deep-seated assumption that dialectics provide the only possible basis for radical thought. Deleuze's analysis stands at the beginning of an important avenue of post-war thought, post-structuralism. For this first English translation, Deleuze has written a new introduction. Okay, great. And then the last thing I think I'm going to read is the back of this Solitude book that I really don't know when I'm going to have time to start this project, because I want to do the book review first, since that's like, it kind of has a deadline-ish. I don't know. They said like 4 months, which I didn't think I would need, but after reading the first 15 pages, I think I will. And then honestly, I probably won't start doing this project until winter break, because that's when I'm going to have some time. Or maybe fall break. We have like a week that is, I guess, Thanksgiving break, actually. They call it fall break now. And then there's like 2 more weeks of the semester. So I don't know. I think it's a weird time. Like, we need a break earlier than that if it's to address like burnout, but I don't know. Okay, so this is Contemporary Solitude, the Joy and Pain of Being Alone. Solitude is a major issue in our time, as pronounced individualism rather than life in a community has become the predominant theme for self-development. We voluntarily choose solitude as a way to guarantee a certain degree of independence from others, and many of our technological developments support the solitary path. We can now manage financially without having to live in a close-knit working community, but what happens to us psychologically? What are the deeper psychological motivations for and implications of this trend to individualism and more solitary lifestyles? I feel like I'm going to be called out. Dr. Wyland Burston illustrates the many paradoxes involved with solitude, with classic stories and fairy tales and a penetrating look at the tradition of the religious retreat and back to nature movements. She also examines what makes solitude painful, the ways in which solitude has been viewed and dealt with, and its role in the growth process. Through the examples of Buddha, St. Anthony, and Jesus, Dr. Wyland Burston reveals the common temptations and the choice for solitude. So, solitude as a temptation. Yeah, sounds problematic. Fantasies of our own grandiosity and separation from humanity. Okay, it also sounds narcissistic. Great. We can suffer in solitude if, in our early development, we have not learned how to be alone in the presence of another, or if we use solitude to avoid relating. Ultimately, Dr. Wyland Burston describes the role of psychotherapy as a search to discover the kind of space in which we can develop as individuals and yet not become closed off from the world. Case examples from her practice show how typical problems of solitude can develop and ultimately evolve within a therapeutic framework. If solidarity within the human family can ever really be achieved, it is through each of us coming to terms with our own personal existential solitude. I think it's just going to be great. I'm super excited about this project. I guess my project is kind of a phenomenology of solitude. I envision it to be kind of a slim book, you know, a la Byung-Chul Han. His format has really influenced me. I think it's easy and accessible to read. We'll see if I can do that. I don't know. My Wittgenstein paper was supposed to be only like 7 pages, and it was 21, which is 1 page over what it's supposed to be. So it'll probably get rejected, if not for other reasons. But yeah, we'll just see. I don't know. I'm giving myself 5 years. I know a lot of times books take like 10 years, but like I said, smallish book. I don't know if I ever read. I probably didn't. Okay, let's read the back of as our final book that we're reading the back cover of. And then we'll end the video of this feminist philosophy of mind. Edited by Kaya Mitra and Jennifer McQueenie. This pioneering book offers a fresh treatment of many issues in the philosophy of mind by applying a diverse range of feminist perspectives. As the first collection of its kind, Feminist Philosophy of Mind defines the content, scope, and methods of this emerging field. Each of its 20 chapters enlarges our understanding of the mind by considering the social context of minds. Topics pursued include personal identity, mental content, other minds, artificial intelligence, gender, race, sexual orientation, emotion, memory, perception, empathy, agency, trauma, and embodiment. Readers will discover new and expanded responses to timeless questions about the mind through this innovative approach. This collection is designed to be used as a core text for courses in a number of contemporary disciplines. Sorry, just 1 second. Oh, sorry, emergency tissue needs. Okay, so I just had one more sentence. I couldn't wait. This collection is designed to be used as a core text for courses in a number of contemporary disciplines and as a supplemental text that facilitates the ready integration of diverse perspectives and women's voices in classic courses. I'm so glad to be reading this. I think it's awesome. I think it would definitely be fitting. You know, I can imagine professors selecting several essays or chapters from this. The contributors include, so they're not all new essays. I think it's a combination of like maybe essays that fit like classic essays and then like newly written ones that were commissioned for this book, I think. So yeah, Judith Butler, see if you recognize any of the Maria Lugones, and then Kaya Mitra, and then Jennifer McQueenie, so the editors. I don't know the other people, but that's not their fault, that's mine. So let's see if you do. Eva Apostolova, that's probably not right. Lynn Rudder Baker, Susan J. Bryson, Ashby Butner, Vrinda Dalmia, E. Diaz Leon, Paula Droge, maybe, Gabrielle Burnett Jackson, and Jay Jacobson, Susan James, Janine Jones, Amy Kind, Matthew McKenzie, Emily McRae, Diana Tietjens Myers, I think, or Tietjens, Jennifer Radin, and Naomi Shaman, apart from those first few. So Kaya Mitra is a professor of philosophy and currently the Thomas Howerton Distinguished Professor of Humanities, 2018 to 2022. at University of North Carolina, Asheville. Her research and teaching focus is in philosophy of mind, cross-cultural philosophy, transnational feminist philosophy, and epistemology of mindfulness. Jennifer McMeany is Associate Professor of Philosophy at Worcester Polytechnic Institute and recipient of the Fulbright U.S. Scholar National Research Award from France. Her research interests are in phenomenology, philosophy of mind, feminist philosophy, and decolonial philosophy. She is the editor-in-chief of Simone de Beauvoir's studies. Okay, so like I said, I'm loving this. This is amazing. I just haven't had appropriate time to devote to it. So I'm guessing maybe the week that classes actually start, I will have time to do it. But that's actually after I get my classes set up, that's going to be my priority. Okay, that's all. Sorry for such a short video if you like longer ones. But yeah, allergies, and I'm going to continue watching Siddha Sings the Blues and reading the readings and chapters in Hinduism. Okay, I will catch you all later. And for those of you who have started or are starting this semester, good luck and have a super fun fall semester.